Hello there guys, welcome to another My Live video. So this is your Chelsea versus Manchester United Carabao Cup preview, Wednesday 8:05 kickoff, and hopefully Manchester United can get a positive result, so we can progress into the fifth round of the competition. And if we do win this game, we will complete a hat-trick of away wins in space of a week, because obviously we have won our last two away games, obviously. But yeah, so on this video as well, I am going to give you the team news, building up to the game. I'm also going to give you my starting 11 prediction, and obviously I will update you with more more of the build up to the game. Obviously when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does his press conference, which I do presume will be tomorrow. But yeah, it's always a good game anyway. Is Manchester United and Chelsea. We are all aware of how much of a difficult game it's going to be. Despite that, Chelsea, did enjoy a really bad start to the season. They're doing really, really well now. I think Chelsea, have won their last 7 games in all competitions, and they are obviously now that they are now sitting fourth in the Premier League, and I think they're around 7 points in front of Manchester United, and taking into account as well our record at Stamford Bridge, isn't that good. We haven't won there in the Premier League for around 7 years. We did beat them at Stamford Bridge last season in the FA Cup by 2 goals to 0. But obviously, Man United beat Chelsea obviously by 4 goals to 0 on the opening day of the Premier League season. So Solskjaer has already, of course, beaten Frank Lampard. So he'll obviously look to beat him again. And in that game, it's not Chelsea didn't play that bad. I thought they were the team that played the expansive football, but we were just clinical in that game. On the opening day of the Premier League season. But there's Man United and Chelsea. Is always a good fixture, like I mentioned. I think the most iconic fixture between Man United and Chelsea. Well, there's actually been a few, but one of the best I saw was obviously the 2008 Champions League final in Moscow, which was around nearly 12 years ago now. When obviously John Terry had missed that penalty. That was also a good game between Chelsea and Man United back in the Carling Cup in 2012, when Chelsea, I think did beat us 5-4 after extra time. So yeah, so we'll now get on with some of the team news and that obviously Man United have still got injuries. Obviously Chelsea have got injuries, so they've got the same sort of injuries. Chelsea have got a lot of injuries. Man United of course have got a lot of injuries. Solskjaer, in this game, he may stick with the 4-2-3-1, or he may revert back to the 3-5-2, because don't forget in the game against Liverpool they went with a 3-5-2. In the game against Partizan Belgrade he went with a 3-5-2, but surprisingly, he reverted back to the 4-2-3-1 against Norwich, and we do know for the majority of this season that obviously Solskjaer has been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation, and we do obviously know that it hasn't been really working out. On the odd occasion, he has gone with a 4-3-3, but mainly gone with a 4-2-3-1. But I think that formation seems to be working, that 3-5-2, and like Solskjaer gave his perception on it, and he said the formation's working really, really well, because it also enables us to have two attackers up top. And I do know for the majority of this season, I've actually been criticising Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and a lot of Man United fans have been criticising Solskjaer's tactics, just like me, because for the majority of this season, we have been tactically inept, but we have really, really done well in the last 3 games, and hopefully now things can turn around at Manchester United. Well, I'm hopefully that things can turn around anywhere. It was a very, very good result against Norwich, comfortably beating them by 3 goals to 1. And very, very good result, and there was some good individual performances. We created a lot of chances in the game. It actually should have been more than 3-1. It was obviously good to see Rashford and Martial getting their name on the score sheet, McTominay getting his name on the score sheet. Rashford and Martial should have scored twice, because don't forget they both missed penalties. But Rashford now has scored 50 goals for the football club. Martial I think scored 52 goals for the football club. So it was actually a really, really good result. So, and I did say, since the Liverpool game, I think the confidence now is in the players all of a sudden. I think obviously reflects on the last 3 games as well. The pressure now is easing off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because before the Liverpool game, don't forget, he was under intense pressure at Manchester United, and I still, maybe some Man United fans' perceptions haven't changed regarding Solskjaer. Even though we've done well in the last 3 games, some people believe that he isn't the right man for Manchester United, and that he isn't the right manager to elevate this club forward. But I would still say give him more time without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, so obviously, with Chelsea, they're obviously in the Champions League this season. They had a good win last week against Ajax in the Champions League as well. But Chelsea have got some good players in their squad, that could cause Man United problems. Obviously, Chelsea's injuries, they've got obviously Ross Barkley out with injury. They've got Andreas Christensen out with injury. They've also got... who else they got out? Ruben Loftus-Cheek with injury. Rudiger's out with injury. So Chelsea have got quite a few injuries. N'Golo Conte. So they have got quite a few imperative players out with injury. Chelsea have obviously got problems. Obviously they've got a transfer ban. They can't do any transfer activity until next summer. They did lose Eden Hazard during the course in the summer, who was obviously their best player. Because don't forget, Eden Hazard did serve 7 years with Chelsea. He did serve 7 years with Chelsea in that, and I think he definitely scored over 100 goals for Chelsea. Chelsea did recommend Frank Lampard in during this summer. Obviously, following the dismissal of Maurizio Sarri, because Chelsea did sack Maurizio Sarri at the end of last season, despite the fact that Chelsea won the Europa League last season. They also, of course, progressed to the Carbaro Cup final, but that obviously wasn't enough to save Maurizio Sarri's tenure. But obviously now Maurizio Sarri is at Juventus, so he did make that return to Italy. Lampard, I don't know if he's the right man for Chelsea. I'm not too sure. Obviously, he knows the traditions of Chelsea Football Club, so in that aspect, he's compatible to Solskjaer, because Solskjaer played for Man United as a player. And Frank Lampard played for Chelsea as a player. Lampard obviously was a long-serving player at Chelsea. He served he was at Chelsea around 13 years. Obviously, he's their all-time, leading goal scorer with 211 goals. So he was there a long time, was Lampard, but he hasn't really got that managerial experience, because don't forget, he only started management last season, with Derby. He enjoyed a good season with Derby. I think, Lampard, did get, Derby to the playoff final. Yes, he did, and I don't know, to be quite honest, if he's the right man for them. But during his playing career, Lampard didn't only play for Chelsea. He obviously began his career with West Ham, and then obviously had 13 years with Chelsea. Then after he left Chelsea, he went and had short spells. He had a short spell with City, and then I think he had a short spell with New York City. Did Lampard and that. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very good game, like I currently mentioned. And I think, in this game as well, Solskjaer will make a lot of alterations in the squad. And I think he sees the competition as, we should, give more of the youngsters, an opportunity in that, to gain more experience. So I think that's also, very, very beneficial. I'm going to give you my starting 11 prediction, like I mentioned. I think probably in this game he'll stick with a 4-2-3-1, or he'll revert back to the 3-5-2. But that's one of the formations he'll go. But he'll probably stick, I do believe, with a 4-2-3-1. I do believe Solskjaer will probably rest, some key players, because obviously Bournemouth is on the horizon. We've got Bournemouth away this weekend. We have still got injuries, by the way. Some players now, have recovered from injury. There's a couple of players, that are closer to regain full fitness. Like I said, we'll know more regarding the team news, tomorrow when Solskjaer's done his press conference and that. Or he might have done it now, I'm not too sure, but I think, he will be doing it tomorrow. We know that obviously, Solskjaer's confirmed, that Paul Pogba is out with injury. Paul Pogba is out with injury. He's been out, for quite some time, as Paul Pogba. you know, Solskjaer has actually, you know, confirmed the extent of Paul Pogba's injury, and, you know, he doesn't expect Paul Pogba, you know, to be back in action until December. So, yeah, so his injury, you know, must be more severe, as we obviously, you know, first feared in that. Even though Paul Pogba's mainly enjoyed a difficult time at Man United, you know, he's still an imperative player. But Paul Pogba, anyway, has missed 8 of the last, you know, I think 10 games, you know, due to his ongoing ankle injury that's been surrounding the player for a matter of weeks. Obviously, the last game Paul Pogba played was Rochdale. He actually played in the Arsenal game, but obviously, you know, didn't look 100% fit. So he definitely, you know, won't be playing in this game. Solskjaer gave us a bit of news regarding Luke Shaw. He actually said that, you know, Luke Shaw's not too far away now from returning to the squad. Obviously, you know, Luke Shaw hasn't played since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. And he has actually, you know, been a big miss as Luke Shaw, because I know a lot of people talk about him, you know, being injury prone and that, and, you know, I will agree on that aspect. You know, he is injury prone, not to the same extent as Eric Bailly, because Eric Bailly has sustained a lot more injuries. But yeah, you know, but I think, you know, prior to Luke Shaw's injuries and prior to his bad spell he had under Mourinho, you know, I think, you know, to be fair, you know, he's mainly had a good career with Manchester United. Don't forget, he won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But obviously now, anyway, you've got quite a lot of Man United fans, you know, saying, you know, that Brandon Williams is a better solution than Luke Shaw. And I do actually presume that Brandon Williams actually, you know, could play in this game. And I think he does deserve more chances anyway, does Brandon Williams, you know, reflecting on his impressive performance he did put out against Partizan Belgrade, because I thought it was fantastic against Partizan Belgrade. Obviously, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, did praise him. And I think he can become a success at the football club, you know, I really, really do. A lot of Man United fans actually, you know, wanted him to play against Norwich, but actually, you know, he didn't play him in the Norwich game, unfortunately. You know, maybe even James Garner, you know, could get given an opportunity against Chelsea, because James Garner was also very, very impressive against Partizan Belgrade. By the way, he did make his full debut for Manchester United, you know, did James Garner. That was his first appearance to the club, you know, since, you know, the 3-1 win against Crystal Palace last season. Give you some news regarding Tuanzebe and Dalot. Tuanzebe, I think, well, it's actually unknown when both players, you know, will be back in contention. Tuanzebe has obviously been out with a hip injury, so obviously he's missed the last couple of games. Well, he's actually, you know, missed the last 3 games. He missed Liverpool. He was supposed to play in the Liverpool game, by the way, because he was named in the starting 11, but obviously, you know, due to the hip injury sustained during the warm-up, obviously he didn't play, and Rojo had taken his place in the team. But yeah, no, you know, he didn't. He hasn't played in the last 3 games. But I don't know how actually, you know, severe his injury is, to be quite honest with you. But I think in the games Tuanzebe has played in this season, you know, I think he's actually, you know, done really, really well. Diego Dalot, you know, he's sustained quite a few injuries this season. You know, he's got a leg injury now. I think he was out with a groin problem, you know, not too long ago. I think he's played quite a few times this season as Diego Dalot. But, you know, like I mentioned, you know, he's one of our backup options in that right back position. You know, so hopefully he'll be back in contention soon. Matic, he did actually say there's an outside chance, you know, that Matic, you know, could play in this game. I don't think he will, though. I don't think he will, because obviously, you know, he's no longer first choice in that. But to say, because obviously, you know, Chelsea's Matic's former club, you know, he could, you know, get given the opportunity in that. But, you know, he's lost his place in the team anyway, you know, due to his inconsistency. But Matic has obviously, you know, been out with a minor problem. So he has missed, I think, the last couple of games at least. Obviously, Eric Bailly's obviously out. He's obviously not out with a knee injury. You know, Eric Bailly has been out for quite some time with his knee injury, and you know, he's not expected back until the end of the year. Like I said, Fosu Mensah, he's also out. He's also back in training now, by the way, so he's, you know, closer to regaining full fitness. The good news is, though, Martial now is back from injury, but since his recovery from injury, you know, Martial has scored, you know, in his last 2 games, you know, which is very, very good. You know, obviously now Anthony Martial, like I said, scored 52 goals for the football club since his arrival from Monaco back in 2015. Now Martial is into his fifth season as a Manchester United player. But, you know, it's good that he's back because obviously he had that inspiration in the attacking third of the pitch. You know, he's good at creating chances. And I said, you know, he looks very, very effective in that, you know, number 9. You know, he's better in that central position than that is Anthony Martial. You know, we have got quite a few players that can play the number 9. But Martial, you know, is, you know, the most effective one. Jesse Lingard's just recently recovered from a hamstring problem. Don't forget, you know, I think he's one of the players that does need to step up to the plate, because I think Lingard has endured a difficult time this season with Man United, so he's obviously now got to step up to the plate. You know, so we have still got quite a few injuries, like I mentioned. But yeah, so now we'll get on with the starting M11 prediction. I think he'll probably stick with the 4-2-3-1 if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So I think he'll go probably with Sergio Romero in goal. Maybe David De Gea will be rested for this game because David De Gea always plays in the league games. Wan-Bissaka at right back, because obviously, you know, he's our first choice right back, and a lot of people believe that he has been our most consistent signing this season. So yeah, I think it will be him at right back. Harry Maguire and Lindelof I think will be rested, so I think it will be Jones and Rojo as a centre back partnership. And left back, I'll go with Brandon Williams. At left back, midfield, McTominay and Fred, like it has been recently. The attacking three, I'm going to go with actually, you know, Rashford on the left. You know, Mata in the number 10. You know, we've got a few players that can play in that number 10. You've got Mata that can play in that number 10, Lingard that can play in that number 10. I think even Pereira can play in that number 10, but I'll go with Mata in the number 10 anywhere. Probably Pereira on the right, or maybe even Greenwood on the right, but I'll go with Pereira on the right, and I will go with Martial up top. So that is my starting M11 prediction. But like I mentioned, we've done really, really well in the last 3 games, and I do, you know, credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for that, because, you know, we have showed, you know, quite a lot of tactical flexibility. But for me, you know, Solskjaer for me, you know, does need more time at Manchester United, because, you know, he hasn't even been at the football club a year yet. You know, he's been here overall for around 10 months. You know, you can say Solskjaer's obviously, you know, enjoyed a difficult 7.5 month tenure at Manchester United, because we do know since he got the job permanently, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong basically. But, you know, reflecting back, you know, when he was the interim manager, you know, he did really, really well. You know, the results were good, the performances were good. He got the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations and that. And, you know, my perception then regarding Solskjaer was he's the right man to elevate Manchester United forward. But obviously, my perception's changed over the course of, you know, the last 7 months or so. Obviously, reflect on the last 3 results, I've been impressed, but my perception still hasn't really changed regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think it's the long-term future for Man United. I probably do believe the club should give him the time, you know, that he's demanding. You know, give him at least a couple more windows, you know, to see who else he can recommend in to the football club. Because like I do keep saying, analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. You know, the vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because Jose Mourinho recommended 11 players in, and now taking into account Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them. I did say Man United need at least 5 to 6 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitively level football club. But I think we're orchestrating on making at least 4 new signings next year. You know, but, you know, like I said, you know, there's some aspects of me that do credit Solskjaer. Obviously, I've got some element of concerns about him. You know, the things I credit him for, you know, that his tactically got it right in the last 3 games. I also credit him for the 3 signings he did recommend into the football club during the summer. And I also credit him, you know, because he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players. So they're the things I do credit him for. You know, the things... the element of concerns I've got about him, that, you know, he hasn't really got any intuition on how to manage a big football club like Manchester United, like I do keep mentioning to you, because obviously before he came to Man United, you know, obviously he was at Mould and he won a couple of Norwegian titles at Mould. obviously before he was at Mould, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff, and obviously, he only lasted around 29-30 games with Cardiff. Actually, ended up, getting Cardiff relegated. And some Man United fans did fear that, he could replicate at Man United, what he did at Cardiff and all that. But we will, see what happens. But Man United won't get relegated, like I mentioned. Too much money into the football club. Obviously, the club's too big, and we haven't been relegated since 1974. But Solskjaer's obviously aware the expectations he has to exceed at Manchester United, and obviously, I said I have expectations this season, will be to, finish in that top four. So in that aspect, we can get back into the Champions League. And, I said that's one of the main factor reasons that went against us during the summer. Because obviously, if you're not in Champions League football, then it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. I haven't fully disregarded the top four as yet, because we got that win against Norwich that we needed. We're sitting now 7th in the league. We're 7 points behind, top four. So, before the Norwich game, though, we were sitting 15th in the league. So it just shows, what difference, a win can make. But, despite the free signings we brought in and that, I still knew that we wasn't going to mount any kind of title challenge up this year, or we wasn't going to win the league, because obviously analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough to win the league. It isn't good enough to mount any kind of title challenge up, but it's definitely good enough for a top four finish. To be quite honest with you. But we haven't won the league, since 2013, so we haven't won it, nearly for 7 years now. Last time won it, obviously, was in Alex Ferguson's last season. But us sacking Solskjaer, before Christmas and at this present time, obviously, anyway, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at Manchester United. And like I did say, due to our inconsistency for the vast majority of this season, I think everyone needs to take the blame. With our bad performances, Solskjaer's accountable for some of them. I definitely believe that a lot of the blame stems from the board and Ed Woodward. I think most of the blame is from the board, because our board of liability, they don't have a clue. And I think we need to get rid of our current board and recommend a new board in. And I think the board do need to assure structural changes at the football club. And whether they can do this or not, I do not know. But I said put into the equation why the board have been a liability for several years is obviously due to the poor recruitment for several years. The poor selection of managers, and I think, our recruitment has got to improve in the next couple of windows, like I said, and, obviously the depth in our squad is not good enough, and we've got to try and address all the problematic areas in, January or next summer. During the summer, we did address some of the problematic areas. We got the experienced centre-half in. We also got that right back in, but during the summer we didn't get a midfielder in, because that's one of the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up. We also didn't get a striker in, because we need obviously someone that can come in and assure us goals, someone that can be more effective in the box. And we didn't recruit a replacement for Lukaku when Sanchez during the summer. We didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera either, so I was infuriated in that aspect. So I think, personally, we'll probably do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer, so we'll probably look to sign 1 or 2 players in January, and then we'll, look to sign more players next summer. That's what we will look to do. Solskjaer recently came out as well and said, he's actually hurt with the results this season, obviously. And he's actually, admitted as well. And Solskjaer's also, got a lot of honesty about him, but he's come out and admitted, that Man United. He's admitted that Man United's transition is really, really hard, because obviously, we are in transition at this moment in time, and we could be in a transition for quite some time. But and as you all know anyway, Solskjaer is making plans for January. He's making plans for January. We've obviously got quite a lot of players on our agenda. But Solskjaer definitely will be here at least for this season, because I think the board did assure the start of this season that regardless of what happens this season, he will be staying for this season, because the board realised that they didn't back him enough during the course of the summer. But yeah, so like I mentioned anyway, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. I did say, some of the young upcoming players will become a success. Some of them won't become a success. So like I mentioned, I've got some element of concerns about certain young upcoming players. So I think we need to orchestrate and loan some out in January. Like I said to you, I've got element of concerns about Chong. Chong is totally comparison, to the likes of, Greenwood. Greenwood and Brandon Williams, Tuanzebe and that. So we need to orchestrate and loan, quite a few of these young upcoming players out. But one thing I can definitely assure is that I think Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams, Tuanzebe, I think they all will become successes at the football club without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe even McTominay, will become a success at the football club because will become a success at the football club, because McTominay's been a first team regular this season, and to be quite fair, he has done really, really well as McTominay. He's not a world class midfielder, but he's held his line well. He's played between the lines good. His defensive contribution's been very, very good. But if in regards to him being a long term solution for Man United, obviously I've got an element of concerns about that. And I've got the same perception about Fred of what I've got of McTominay. Fred, I know a lot of people obviously are keen on him, and a lot of Man United fans believe he's not good enough to represent the football club. I think he is, because I think he's done well in quite a few games this season. He obviously hasn't performed to the standards as we should expect from him, and he hasn't performed, like of how he did, when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk, because to be fair, he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. I will agree on the aspects that we definitely did overpay for Fred. We paid just under £50 million to him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk, but definitely would give him more time at the football club. Like I mentioned, Andres Pereira's done well as well recently. I've been very, very impressed there with him. Taking into account Rashford's done really, really well. He's done well in his last couple of games, as Rashford did put a good performance out against Liverpool. Put a good performance out against Norwich. Because when he's at his best, Rashford, he can get them runs in behind. He can get them runs in behind. He can obviously create opportunities for himself. Which is very, very good. It's good now anyway that he's got 50 goals for the football club. But yeah, so we have got a lot of young upcoming players in the squad. Like I just wanted to take him into account. But we have made mistakes, in the last 6 or 7 years. We've made quite a lot, One of the mistakes, obviously, was giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. We shouldn't ever give him the job, to be quite honest with you. And I think the club, I do feel sorry for him in a way, because I think, the club have put him in a very, very difficult position. I know I recently said that I think their expectations are too high for him at Man United. Obviously, Solskjaer and Ed Woodward have got the same perceptions regarding him being the right man. Solskjaer believes himself he's the right man to elevate Man United forward. He's never felt as though the job's too big for him. And Ed Woodward did say he insists that he's still 100% backing Solskjaer. So they are compatible in that aspect. But we have actually not enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. We need to continue this good run of form now. We need to start scoring more goals. We did that against Norwich, which was good. We need to create chances. We did that against Norwich, because for the majority of this season, we have been struggling to create chances. Definitely been struggling there to create chances. And we're not scoring enough goals, and that actually replicates last season, because last season, we didn't score enough goals in the Premier League. Last season we did actually create chances in a lot of the games, but we just wasn't clinical enough in front of goal, so we just don't seem to have that clinical element at the moment. Yeah. And obviously, I think despite the fact that a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe there is more problematic players at the football club, that I do need to be moved on in January and, of course, next summer. I think around 7 outfield players have left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. One of the mistakes, again, like I keep mentioning, was getting rid of Ander Herrera, because you could arguably say Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. So for me, Herrera enjoyed a good 4 years out of the 5 years he was at Man United, because he did, make an impact in that midfield. And it infuriated me more that we let Ander Herrera go on a free transfer. One mistake Ferguson made, and it was the only mistake Alex Ferguson made, was obviously recommending David Moyes into the job. David Moyes, of course, only lasted 10 months at Manchester United, so he's actually had the shortest tenure since the Ferguson era. I think you could arguably say that Ferguson should have recommended Jose Mourinho in. At that current time anyway, because maybe if we would have got Jose Mourinho earlier than we did, then maybe it would have been a different scenario with Man United. So probably we did recommend Jose Mourinho in too late, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, that was the only mistake, Alex Ferguson made. But like I do keep mentioning anyway, regardless of what our manager is, no one's going to ever invoke Ferguson's legacy at Man United. And Solskjaer definitely can't invoke Ferguson's legacy to save him at Man United. And that definitely can't do that. Even though Ferguson obviously did transform Solskjaer into a winner. But, under Ferguson, we controlled the transfer policies, we controlled the contracts. Obviously, the fear factor was there, that winning mentality was there, and he developed a lot of young players. Did Ferguson? Sorry. So the team was absolutely amazing under Alex Ferguson, and I did say, I hope this team out this day and age can replicate what the team did under Ferguson. And he's actually still a couple of players here from the Ferguson era, like I mentioned, and like I said, managers need to get more time, because Ferguson didn't settle in straight away. We obviously know back in the old generation that managers got the time that they would have liked, because obviously the boards were nowhere near as ruthless now to this extent. But yeah, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years. But look what he did after that. Look what he accomplished after that 4 years. He won 38 jobs in total with the football club. Obviously, he had 20 odd years and a success. So if managers do get the time, they can become successful. Without a shadow of a doubt. But I'll still back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way, even though I don't think he's going to become a success at the football club. I may be proven wrong, I'm hopeful, to be proven wrong. Solskjaer was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. Obviously, one of his most iconic moments as a player, obviously, was in 1999. Of course, when he did score the winner against Bayern Munich at the Nou Camp, of course, won the club the treble. That's obviously one of the club's greatest achievements. Obviously, as a player, he won around 6 Premier League titles as well, so we'll take that into account. And obviously, one of his most iconic moments as manager now, obviously, was the PSG game last season, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. So I still, will back him all the way, and I don't want managers to keep getting sacked from Man United anywhere, because Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Ferguson era. And we're not really known for a sacking club, even though we have already gone since the Ferguson era. But I just wanted to basically work out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know obviously, like I said, there was a lot of reports before the Liverpool game saying if we suffered a heavy defeat to Liverpool, it could put Solskjaer's job in serious jeopardy. If we don't beat Norwich, it could sack Solskjaer and that. But obviously, that didn't happen, so obviously he still remains in the job at the moment. He did actually say that I think Man United have to pay around 7 million in compensation anyway, to get rid of him, which is around half than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because I think we paid around 19 or 20 million to get rid of Jose Mourinho. Yeah. But, some people may believe that, Solskjaer can, maybe emulate into, a Jurgen Klopp, because, we'll take Jurgen Klopp into account. He didn't settle in straight away when he went to Liverpool. His record after his first 29 games were as bad or were worse than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's record after his first 29 games. So not every manager, does settle in, straight away. And obviously, Roy Keane came out not too long ago and he suggested out that Man United, should sign Harry Kane. You got Solskjaer, responding to them suggestions, and, basically Solskjaer said, we should. He said basically, he's an admirer of Kane, sorry, but it's very, very unlikely, that Man United will get him, and he would cost the club a substantial amount. We'd probably have to pay around £200 million for him or something like that. But Solskjaer anyway said, he wants to bring two forwards in January. It's looking very, very probable, like I mentioned, that we're going to sign Mario Mandzukic in January. So it's looking very, very likely he's going to be our first signing in January. And overall, he's going to be our fourth signing under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. He's a Mario Mandzukic. Take into account as well, he's a cheap solution. Man United alone have to pay around 9 or 10 million for him. I think the club are prepared to hand him around an 18-month contract. Don't forget, we went in for Mandzukic towards the back end of the summer transfer window. Like I said, the only concern I've got about recommending him in is his age, because he's now, 33 years of age. So you can say that he's only got a couple of years left in his footballing career. But obviously, he's a good adequate replacement for Lukaku. Obviously, he's a long-term replacement, but for this present time, he's a good replacement. And obviously it confirmed the other week that he has slashed his wage demands in half from 300 grand a week to 150,000 in order to make the move to Manchester United. But obviously since the recommendation of Maurizio Sarri, Mario Mandzukic hasn't played a single minute, but he's been at Juventus around 5 years now. He's into his fifth season with Juventus, and he's scored 44 goals in 162 games in all competitions, so he's going to be the club's next signing. Obviously, like I've already given you an update, there's also other players on our agenda. Obviously, there's been talks of Moussa Dembele. I still believe we're in for Jadon Sancho. Like I updated you yesterday actually, I think it was, I updated you guys on, I'll give you some more transfer news regarding Kai Havertz and Thomas Muller. Reportedly there, two Bundesliga stars on Man United's agenda. Reportedly we're set to pay up to around £125 million for both players. Obviously you've got Kai Havertz, who's predominantly an attacking midfielder. Obviously has actually never played in the Premier League. I think he's actually spent the entirety of his career so far with Bayer Leverkusen, because he's been in the senior squad with Leverkusen since 2016. Obviously he's gone on to make 117 appearances in all competitions. He actually joined Leverkusen's youth academy in 2010, so he was in their youth setup, for several years. He's under contract with Leverkusen until 2022, but I do believe Leverkusen are demanding a substantial amount. They want in the region of around £85 million for the player, so Man United are going to have to pay a substantial amount. And Thomas Muller, like I said, another good player. Man United have been long-term admirers of Thomas Muller. Don't forget we was in for Thomas Muller back under the David Moyes era. We went in for Thomas Muller. We wanted to make him our first signing under David Moyes, but obviously we never got him. You've obviously got Muller, that's served his two requirements now with Bayern Munich, because obviously he's no longer a first team regular under Niko Kovac. As Thomas Muller, but actually Thomas Muller has spent the entirety of his career with Bayern Munich. He's been in the senior squad with them since 2008. Since he made his senior debut, he's gone to make just under 500 appearances for Bayern Munich in all competitions. Obviously the vast majority of his appearances have obviously come in the Bundesliga. 300 odd have come in the Bundesliga. He's scored 186 goals and provided 171 assists in all competitions. So he's a player that can create chances, he can score goals, he can provide his tenacity, his stamina, his work rate, his everything. He's got everything. His attributes are absolutely fantastic. Thomas Muller's. My only element of concern I've got about us recommending him in is that obviously he's 30 years of age now, but there again he would be a cheap solution. I think Man United would have to pay around 30 or 40 million pounds for his services. He is still under contract with Bayern Munich, I think until 2021. But he's a player that's also very, very versatile. I think he's primarily a forward, but he can play as an attacking mid. He can even play as a second striker. He can also be deployed on either wing, so his versatility now is very, very good. So there are another two players on our current agenda. But I do believe the players we was in for anyway during this summer probably more than likely will reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we will leave some until next summer. Yeah. But I think Solskjaer anyway, obviously his transfer policy, during the summer, was to recruit young British players to Manchester United. I think he's still keen on that policy. But obviously, if we get Mario Mandzukic, obviously, he's prepared to. He's obviously, broken his own transfer policy in that. Because, like I mentioned, a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United. Obviously around £700-800 million has been spent in the last 6 or 7 years. 700-800 million. That's just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson. And like I said, it's always spending big on players and getting them glad-to-go players doesn't always guarantee success. So this is why I did say maybe we should be sensible with our current recruitment. Like I mentioned, and we've also got players on big contracts at the football club. Take that into account. Players on big contracts. So hopefully now, regarding this new formation and with the result against the last 3 results, hopefully we can start going on a winning run now, which I'm very very hopeful about. But there's still. Still our performances, I do need to improve. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to the Chelsea game, like I mentioned, like I said, 8:05 kick-off. It's going to be a really, really tough game. It is going to be a really, really tough game. I just want us, Man United to progress to the 5th round. Well, I'm hopeful we can anyway. We only just got past Rochdale in the last round. Chelsea obviously beat Grimsby 7-1 in the 3rd round. So we'll also, take that into account. Also, take that into account. I think, Man United, should get a director of footballing as well. Well, don't forget, we was in for the director of football during the course of the summer. But, we actually, ended up not getting one. Because there was quite a few former Man United players, linked to that director as well during the course of the summer. We know that there was recent talks about Edwin van der Sar coming in. But I did say, that's one of the structural changes we need to see at the football club. Is recommending a new director of footballing. I said if we are to get one in, it would be beneficial to recommend someone who knows the traditions of the club, someone who knows the club inside out, and that, like I've just mentioned, and someone who would be reliable to oversee our transfer business. And definitely, Edwin van der Sar, would be the right candidate. But yeah, so. Yeah, we'll stick with Solskjaer definitely, at least for this season, because a massive rebuild is definitely needed at the football club. So we need to focus on the ingoings, next year, more of the ingoings, but we also need to focus on more of the outgoings, like I mentioned. The players for me, in my perception anyway, that we need to think about getting rid of is, we need to get rid of Jones. Jones for me is no longer good enough to represent the football club. He's been a long serving at Man United. He's now into his 9th season at the club. He's nearly been here a decade, is Phil Jones. Another mistake for Man United last season, was giving him the new long-term contract. Bailly, he's a really, really good player and has got great potential when he's fully fit. But regarding his injuries, I think, it's really had a bad effect on his Man United career. And I think, the club could consider moving him on next year or at some point in the future. Definitely Young needs to be moved on. This could be actually Young's last season as a Man United player. Don't forget, Young signed a new 1-year extension last season. Young's obviously now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously you've got Matic, he's another player that does need to be moved on. So without a shadow of a doubt, he's still problematic players at the football club. Yeah, so we'll be back with more live videos tomorrow. Like I said, drop your comments, like us on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.